We are delighted to speak with Mr. Sanjeev Aggarwal, President and CEO of Everspin Technologies. Although Everspin needs no introduction in semiconductor realm, it is a worldwide leader in designing, manufacturing, and commercially shipping discrete and embedded magnetoresistive random access memory (MRAM). So let's talk to Mr. Aggarwal. So my first question is, uh, Everspin has successfully commercialized both toggle MRAM and STT MRAM technologies. How do customers decide between the two, and what unique applications are best suited for each?
It's a good question. So there's a fundamental difference between toggle MRAM and STT MRAM. Toggle MRAM is a field switched MRAM technology. So I'll back up. Both technologies have a fixed magnetic layer and a free magnetic layer. And you basically, if the fixed and the free layer are aligned in the same direction, you have a zero state. And if they're in opposite directions, you have a one state. Now, the free layer can be switched either by applying a magnetic field, which is what we do in toggle MRAM, or you can actually switch the direction of the free layer by passing a current through the tunnel barrier, and then that's STT MRAM or spin transfer torque MRAM. So most of our customers, they've been using toggle MRAM since 2006. We've been shipping in densities all the way from 256 kilobit to 16 megabit or so. And they have either a serial interface or a parallel interface, but primarily parallel. So if anybody is looking to use a memory with a parallel interface, they would pick toggle MRAM. But if they were planning to use a serial interface, they would be picking STT MRAM. And there also the densities are different. So like I said, toggle MRAM goes up to 16 megabit or even 32 megabit. STT MRAM goes all the way from 4 megabit serial SPI to 128 megabit. Also, we have STT MRAM with the DDR interface for the storage industry. So basically what I'm saying is, depending on the interface that the customer needs, they would either pick toggle MRAM or STT MRAM, or based on the density that they need.
Okay. So my second question is, with over a decade of commercialization experience in MRAM, what do you see the next big inflection point for this technology? Density scaling, cost competitiveness, or integration into mainstream foundry nodes?
It's again a good question. So where Everspin differentiates itself from the foundries is Everspin offers standalone MRAM as a product, and we license our technology to the foundries for building embedded MRAM. So we have one licensee for that, Global Foundries. So they have licensed our technology to ship embedded MRAM. In the aerospace and defense, we also have Honeywell and Front Grade that have licensed our STT MRAM technology. But coming back to commercialization and what is our next inflection. So the inflection point that we see is NOR flash actually stopped scaling at 40 nanometer CMOS. That's the reason why the foundries jumped in to replace embedded flash with embedded MRAM. What Everspin is doing is we're actually building standalone MRAM to replace standalone flash. So just like embedded flash is not available anymore, if you're looking for a high density monolithic flash, that is not available. So you would actually use Everspin's MRAM. And what we bring to the table is 2 or 3 orders of magnitude faster writes compared to NOR flash, and 2 to 3 orders magnitude better read-write endurance. So that's where we see as an inflection point. That standalone flash market for high densities is on the order of $3 billion over the next 5 years. And even if we capture 5 to 10% of the market, that's a huge revenue growth for Everspin.
India is making a strong moves to build a resilient semiconductor supply chain. Do you see opportunities for Everspin to collaborate with Indian academia, startups, or foundries in near future?
Yeah, so Everspin's MRAM, or MRAM in general, is radiation immune. What that means is it's very relevant to the aerospace and defense industry. So if you're looking at ISRO or you're looking at DRDO, they're actually already using Everspin's MRAM. The difference is what we offer commercially is radiation tolerant, so up to 300 kilorad, and radiation immune goes up to 1,000 kilorad. So to make the surrounding periphery around the MRAM radiation immune, you need to actually do some radiation hardening by design. And that's where Honeywell or Front Grade comes in. And then we build our MRAM on top of that CMOS. And if you're using it for deep space, it's probably radiation hardened CMOS from Honeywell. But the point is that we have been shipping MRAM already. It's already being used by ISRO and DRDO. So we see a lot of opportunity to actually make some inroads in those organizations. To that effect, we have actually engaged with a couple of distributors. I don't want to talk about the names yet, but we are in the process of putting agreements in place with the hope that we can actually start selling more MRAM in India as well. Another application for us is in battery management systems for EVs. And the idea over there is our memory is very, very fast to write, 35 nanoseconds or less compared to typical microseconds. So if you want to record the health of the battery while it's charging and discharging, you need to be able to write to the memory fast, and that's where our MRAM comes in. So with the growth of the EVs planned over the next 5 years in India, that is a good opportunity for us, and also for charging stations in India. That is also a good opportunity for us. Same reason, right? You want to basically see how the battery is charging at the charging station and how to accelerate that charging kind of thing. Going back to the aerospace and defense industry, we have, for example, actively collecting data from Mars today. Frontgrade actually has a 16 megabit from Everspin that's on the Mars rover, actively collecting data. And again, with the Frontgrade CMOS and Everspin MRAM, we are on the way to Jupiter on the Lucy mission with NASA. So aerospace and defense and EV markets are very interesting to Everspin.
As an established MRAM innovator with nearly 600 patents and experiencing securing federal awards such as the $14.5 million onshore manufacturing initiative, what lessons might you share for Indian companies aiming to accelerate semiconductor innovation locally?
That's a good question. So at Everspin, we have a culture of promoting innovation and cross-cultural interaction between various groups. So what I mean by that is there is an R&D group, there is a design group, and there is a manufacturing group, but they don't work in isolation. They actually work together, and that's what actually generates a lot of ideas and leads to IP that we have filed and successfully patented. Now, in addition to that, we actually do have strong initiatives within the company to file IP. Our employees get financial rewards for filing IP once it's issued, and then also they see the value. I mean, we are competing not directly, but still in the MRAM technology space, we are competing with big behemoths like IBM, like Samsung, like TSMC, and it gives them a lot of pride in having developed the technology and secured the IP. We are able to do that because we have our own 8-inch manufacturing line that we also use for R&D, and that's where we develop all our IP. So that's how we are different from our competitors for standalone MRAM, for example. We have our own fab, we generate our own IP, and then when we are ready to go to manufacturing on 12-inch, we just have to transfer the technology. So there is very little opportunity for leakage. So I think a similar model where promoting the R&D type attitude and actually working with the manufacturing guys and the designers, that's what creates new ideas. You know what can be manufactured, so it's not, you're not basically playing in a sandbox. You know what it needs to get manufactured later on. So I think interaction between various groups and promoting the right culture to actually promote ideas and generate ideas, I think is what brings Everspin to the place that we are in today.
So my next question is, data centers and AI workloads demand high speed, low power memory solution. What role do you see MRAM technology playing in complementing or competing with existing memory hierarchies like DRAM and NAND?
Good question. So let me start with addressing the DRAM portion of the market. So our first product that we brought to market using spin transfer torque was a DDR3 256 megabit part. Okay, it was not a true DDR; it was a DDR-like, and we've actually brought 256 megabit on 40 nanometer CMOS, and then 1 gigabit on 28 nanometer CMOS. We've been shipping these parts to IBM since 2018. So we are already addressing the DRAM market in some sense. But the challenge that we faced was that since it's not a true DDR interface, the adoption was limited, and IBM is our major customer in that space. So what do we plan to do to address the storage industry is building a DDR5 or a DDR6 MRAM, I don't think it's very feasible. So we have taken an approach where we're actually building a high bandwidth, high wide IO interface memory chip. And the idea over there is you basically place that memory chip right next to the processing unit, and that makes a rapid exchange of data and also very little power loss during the exchange. So that's where we're trying to do a demonstration right now with a CXL protocol over MRAM. And if you're successful, I believe that can actually have a lot of impact on the data storage market. The other one is how do we impact the AI market and what do we compete with over there? So the bottom line is, if you're looking at AI on the edge, what you have over there is if you're using SRAM, that's for as a working memory, and then you're using NOR flash as a configuration memory. So on the edge, you do all the processing with SRAM, and then you have to compare the data to NOR flash and then decide whether, and the NOR flash could be in the cloud or it could be next to the chip. So there's a lot of power loss when all of that information is being exchanged. What MRAM can do is actually replace the NOR flash as well as the SRAM and make one single chip that does execution in place, as well as providing the configuration that you need. And in addition to that, SRAM, as you know, is actually very leaky. The transistors are very leaky, and you have to keep refreshing the memory. So if you use MRAM, standby power is almost zero, doesn't require any refresh, and it's a very efficient way of doing any AI inferencing on the edge. So I think that's where MRAM has a role to play. It is in development today, but hopefully we'll see something in the market over the next 3 years from Everspin.
Thank you, sir. Anything you would like to end up this conversation with? Like any tagline for Everspin?
So the tagline for Everspin is, or what my tagline, I guess, is MRAM is going to revolutionize the memory industry, and Everspin has a large role to play in that. And what I would say is that innovation is the key, and then persistence is the other thing. Innovation and persistence are two of the attributes that you require to actually bring a new memory to the market, because adoption can be challenging, and you need to find innovative ways for the customers to adopt it and use it, and get over the hump of a small company trying to revolutionize the memory industry. So.